On the teaching strategies, by using Vygotsky's theories, teachers should begin near the zone's upper limit. We talked about this, so that the child can reach their goal and still gain something from it. You want to observe the child, provide support when needed, and then also you definitely want to have peers involved. So you want to have peers teaching each other how to do things. And children will often, again, related to this, children will benefit from the support and guidance of more skilled children. So if you can have kids working together, you should do it. You want to monitor, but also encourage the use of children's private speech. Listen to them, see what they're saying, seeing if they're keeping on task like they should. And also be aware of that developmental change from externally talking to oneself to when you begin to talk privately to oneself internally. You want to encourage elementary children to internalize and self-regulate their talk to themselves. So once they get to a certain age, you do want them to take that private speech and put it internally. And you want to provide opportunities to learn in real-world settings. So if you're going to have math problems, make them math problems that have real-world implications instead of just memorizing math formulas. It's not fun, it's not interesting, and it's not necessarily going to be useful for them. But if you can show them something that's useful, that's something that they're going to remember. So you would like to transform your classroom and to use some of these Vygotsky ideas. One of the terms for this is flipped classrooms, where the student is the center of the entire class and not the teacher. So the student is prioritized over the teacher-centered delivery of information. And so this is like the old way the classes would be, that the professor would be at the front, the teacher would be at the front, just blah, blah, blah. Now, we're utilizing some of these Vygotsky principles that the student should be the center, like team problem solving. Things like this should be prioritized over just this rote memorization stuff. And I've said it in some of the other videos now. With the in-person classes, I do this a lot. It's a little bit more difficult with the online classes. So this lecture is teacher-centered. On the focus in the discussions, though, in the written discussions that we've been doing, you're the focus. And so it's you working through your ideas, and you're also getting to interact with the other students. That is more of a Vygotskyan approach compared to the lectures that we're doing here. On evaluating Vygotsky, there was an emphasis on social context for learning and the construction of knowledge through social interaction. Sure. For Piaget, the formal endpoint was operational thought. For the Vygotsky, the endpoint differs depending on the cultures, because a lot of cultures, some cultures are here, some cultures are here as far as some of these learning principles. And so for Piaget, everybody was supposed to get to the formal operations. For Vygotsky, it's going to depend on what culture you're in, that's going to have a big influence on where you're going to end up educationally. For both, though, teachers and facilitators are better than, and guides are better than directors, taskmasters. Although, on this, critics point out that Vygotsky was not specific enough about age-related changes and when you should start putting more emphasis on the kid to do it on their own. Some critics also say that he did not adequately describe how changes in social emotional capabilities contribute to cognitive development. Remember, all three of those are combined: the biological, cognitive, and social emotional. Vygotsky probably didn't talk a lot about the social emotional. And he also may have overemphasized the role of language, according to some researchers. And finally, the emphasis on collaboration and guidance may have some pitfalls. If they help too much, the child could become lazy. So they need time to think on things on their own. You don't want to be overbearing. You don't want to be their parent that's adding their 2 cents throughout the entire task. So you want to give them a little bit of time to figure it out on their own. The whole point of all this is you want to create a self-sufficient, critical thinking individual that grows up and goes out in the world and does something good. You're not trying to create somebody that's filled with shame and doubt. You're not trying to create somebody that's lazy. So that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening.